creatures and weird sky ships. And the atmosphere is further accentuated by mostly pleasant poppy sound effects, and it gives that nice cartoony edge to the gameplay. And it's very polished gameplay to begin with. The platforming and puzzles are smooth as glass, but still not too easy to play through. SpongeBob acts exactly like you'd expect. He spins, he tongueboards, and he bungee jumps down skyscrapers in his underwear. Patrick throws crates and Sandy lasso copters everywhere with the usual karate agility. I mean, obviously, the graphics are a bit dated at this point, as it's from 2003, but frankly, they still look very clear and sharp to me. This is the sort of color style I would expect from SpongeBob. These graphics immerse me more than enough in the Bikini Bottom world. It's not about a HD sheen, it's about getting the style of SpongeBob right. The stage music is fantastic too. It's iconic, upbeat, and it doesn't feel too intrusive either. In fact, the team liked it so much that they have been reusing this SpongeBob music in games 15 years later. My only big nitpick? It's painfully obvious that they couldn't get Mr. Krabs or Mermaid Man's original voices in this, and it's jarring to hear someone else imitating them.
Are they here to fix the TV?
Are you sure he can't fix the TV?
Oh, I'll let you go, Squirt. On a flying saucer!
The Krusty Krab's been overrun by a bunch of them hoodoo robots of yours.
And that occasionally broke the immersion for me. But all the other key characters seem to be in their original roles, and I'm hoping they'll fix those voices up in the remake. But aside from that nitpick, this is essentially the Mario 64 of SpongeBob. It's vibrant to explore, it's thrilling to play, it's revolutionary for SpongeBob games, and until its remake, I can't see them topping this amount of detail and effort put into every level and scene. When the remake comes, there might be a new contender, but until then, I personally consider this the absolute best SpongeBob game. But you know, probably the biggest novelty I got from the SpongeBob games is instead of watching SpongeBob from afar, in the good games, I really did feel like I was joining in on SpongeBob's daily activities, and that was a very novel experience for me. And if you think I missed a particular SpongeBob game, feel free to leave your own thoughts in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Pizza!
Howdy, Disney has been sneaking out games under the radar pretty much since the 90s. Quite a few of which have been lodged in my memory for years now. So let's talk about the old and the new games today. Let's dive into what I consider the top 5 best and worst Disney games. We'll be checking out video games made under Disney Interactive Studios. So, you know, games like Epic Mickey, the Kingdom Hearts series, Disney Infinity, and so on. And since there's an absolute truckload of these titles, pardon me if I do this one of your favorites, or a particularly abysmal one. It'd be great to hear your own choices in the comments. So without further monkeying about, onto the countdown. For the 5th worst Disney game, Disney's Magical Mirror, starring Mickey Mouse. Weirdly enough, this game has a reputation for scaring the crap out of people when they were kids. Only many of us look back and say, hey, wait a minute, this game isn't scary. It's a circular fire trash can of mediocrity. So aside from childhood trauma, what else does this soulless, dead-eyed, creepy, staring version of our favorite mouse give us? Well, for starters, graphically it falls flat as a pancake. The ugly, kind of black pancake left in the pan so long that it takes 10 minutes to scrub off. Almost every room in the mansion has the same glass angle and the same generic color scheme. Even the camera acts more like a drunken donkey with 3 legs that's having a seizure while dancing on an Irish pub. The story is basically that Mickey has to get himself out of this bizarre mansion by collecting all 12 mirror pieces after being trapped into said mirror by a malevolent spirit. That may sound kind of interesting, but don't be fooled, because this adventure is a tedious and dull undertaking. You see, to progress, Mickey has to collect keys. Lots and lots of keys. The standard point-and-click affair follows. You click or use a controller to lumber Mickey around, examine and combine items. You also have to pick up the required number of stars to trigger some events. But there's no instruction to collect said stars or mirror shards. We're just somehow meant to have the psychic clairvoyance to know. Because the game certainly isn't going to tell us. And all the while, the same asinine, repetitive music loops over and over and over again, to the point the mute button becomes a very welcoming option. Though I warn you, you may occasionally miss Mickey saying, and what a truly unspeakable tragedy to miss such a wondrous spectacle as that. I mean, some of these adventure game puzzles don't even make logical sense. Like, the first mirror shard you find is very obviously sticking out from this rug. But no, you don't just pick it up. You go to the end of the hall, get scared by the ghost, and then the rug lets you pick the shard up. Interestingly, you can actually get Mickey to leave to go home early if you want to. But that results in the bad ending. Of course, a bad ending in Mickey's Magical Mirror means the ghost sadly waving goodbye as you go home. That's it. The good ending, when you collect all the shards, lets the ghost come home with Mickey. Because apparently now we want this creepy ethereal wraith of the dead to follow us. I think they got the endings reversed here. Anyway, Mickey's Magical Mirror is a simple enough point-and-click time sink that's not going to be offensively bad to many people, but it also gets old fast, lacks creativity, and just drones on. And for the 50th best, Epic Mickey. Honestly, I thought Epic Mickey had a beautiful story and some of the best animation designs I've ever seen on the Wii. I didn't call the story on par with the emotional sophistication of many Pixar movies. But what I felt stood out about Epic Mickey compared to many other Disney games is it wasn't exactly trying to be safe and comfortable. In the world of Wasteland, the ambience of sadness and melancholy just hangs over it. It actually drives me to want to add some more color and joy to the Wasteland world, even if it's only a little bit. Let's start with the story though. Once again, Mickey botches up his Master Yen Sid's experiment and just legs it. After chaos and havoc erupts, Mickey is once again strapped to a table, and once again the Mad Doctor's trying to slice him to pieces. And the Good Doctor has updated his machinery a bit in the last 70-odd years. Like, his machinery and the art design itself here is like a twisted, bleak Disneyland fever dream. It's a darker, paler, twisted world that I really marveled at during gameplay. The flat 50s era cutscenes are really cool too. They're smooth and very expressive, and frankly, some of the acting, animation, and character development here is simply stunning for a video game. Mickey's face can contort in the simplest ways to convey strong emotion to me. It's a shame though, because it's something to cut the fact that at this point, they don't give a voice to Mickey. Like, we all know what Mickey should sound like, so why not voice him? Anyway, Mickey's paintbrush has a power to either magically create or destroy the world around him. Do you want to befriend your enemies or wipe them out of existence? It adds a slight moral element to the gameplay, which is kind of neat. Mickey gradually discovers many dark, sad truths about Wasteland. It's a land of the forgotten and abandoned, the unnecessary and ignored characters from Disney's lore, including Oswald, who fortunately hasn't decided to help us out yet. Why fortunately? Well, more on that later. Right now, he's still rather envious and spiteful about Mickey taking his place back in 1938, and he's had plenty of time to stew on it. If I were to define Epic Mickey's gameplay, I'd say it merges Legend of Zelda with Donkey Kong 64, but the Wii controls reminded me a lot of Mario Galaxy, and I love that game. One big negative, though, is the camera, which has notoriously weighed down the Epic Mickey series. Unfortunately, it's one of those sluggish cameras you may spend half the time wrestling with, and it can take some getting used to. But on the plus side, I found the story of pretty good length, with about a 15-hour adventure. And this is personally about as long as I want a Disney adventure to go on for. Overall, I think Epic Mickey is an artistic 3D standout in Mickey's games.
Our reflections prompt us to reflect.
it actually retains a lot of the charm of the original, and in my opinion, the cutscenes actually improve upon the original, and we do get some nostalgia appeal here, and a lot of the original Epic Mickey's artistic charm, but the clunky controls, slippy jumping puzzles, and drawn-out bosses make this a frustrating sequel to a pretty decent original game. As I mentioned earlier, the weird monochrome fellow hanging out with Mickey is called Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, the true original Disney symbol, before Walt dumped it for Mickey back in 1938, though that may be because Walt lost the rights to him. Anyway, in this game, Oswald's decided to be a real trooper about the last 93 years and help Mickey out. Or, based on his abysmal AI, maybe he's actually sabotaging us. Anyway, more on that later. This is a sequel I wanted to like because so much is in place to make it great. Like now, Epic Mickey has voice acting. In fact, we've got some real star voice talents here you might even recognize from some Disney movies.
I sure hope so, Mickey. I really do.
Yet the gameplay clunkiness holds it back so much. Probably the biggest problem is our buddy Oswald's AI is notoriously terrible. In fact, I'm half convinced our partner in paint here hasn't gotten over his 93-year grudge and is actually determined to thwart us at every turn. We need his electric rabbit powers to progress, yet he'll often run off or just outright stand in the way when we hit a puzzle or need his powers. Even people who really enjoy Epic Mickey 2 often seem to admit the AI on Oswald means he just outright refuses to help you half the time. And when comparing the gameplay visuals to Epic Mickey 1, I just wasn't as impressed with 2. I personally found most of the scenery felt less lush, varied, colourful, and memorable than 1. But that being said, stylistically, it still looks leagues above many other 7th generation console games. But once again, we are given a beautiful musical score. It's a sweeping orchestra filled with whimsical throwbacks to other Disney movies. And when I was taking in both the musical score and the exceptional cutscene voice acting, I really did feel like there was something special to Epic Mickey 2. Many of these creative musical cutscenes are actually performed by the notoriously controversial Mad Doctor. You know, the guy who tried to turn Pluto into a homunculus and saw Mickey in half. Apparently, he sings now.
If we don't band together, Wasteland will be destroyed!
Anyway, the cutscenes are, in my opinion, a definite improvement over the original. But anyway, Epic Mickey 2 does retain much of that classic Disney charm, and I did want to see more of Mickey's story. I feel like if they could fix the camera, Oswald's AI, the slippery surfaces, and break the repetition a bit, Epic Mickey 2 could be exactly what it tries to be. A truly epic Mickey game. And for the fourth best Disney game, Disney Infinity 3.0. Hot damn. The original 2 Disney Infinity games were fine, but I think this is easily the most polished of all 3. It even gives a unique story and take on my favorite Disney movie, Inside Out. So it wins a lot of brownie points with me. The cheesiness dial from the first 2 has been dialed back a bit as well, which originally really turned me off Infinity 1. But before we dive into Toy Box mode, let's talk about the Star Wars campaign, because frankly, it's one of the most polished, responsive, and enjoyable Star Wars games I've seen in years. It gives us a vast array of different Star Wars settings, along with a very smooth combat system with responsive controls. We're even given tons of character-specific moves and combos. Who would have thought that Disney Infinity, essentially Lego Disney, would be the game to master the Star Wars gameplay mechanics? I particularly enjoyed the incorporation of Jedi powers like Force Push. The campaign also has tons of side content and side quests thrown in. Even the driving and pod racing handles top notch. As for Toy Box mode, there's a ton of content to enjoy here. And when you're ready, you can also sample the endless custom levels uploaded by the Infinity community. I also really like the level up system. There's enough customization here between combat, health, defense, and special abilities for me to really feel like players are able to make their own unique character build. Anyway, it was also nice to see a new take on the world of Inside Out. We return to Riley's mind, and even if it's not quite as polished as the original movie,